Okay, so we have this unfinished basement. We need to work on the upstairs, the second floor on this. So we're going to go through kind of a similar process we did to create the basement. We're going to go over here to our project browser. We're going to go to the upper level floor line. And that's going to bring us to where we will automatically see the lower level, the main level floor line there. So it's going to show in part because the walls we've drawn are 10 feet tall and they're slightly larger than what the floor distance is. So we can see these walls as if they were on this floor because they are up to the floor line. So they go all the way up. Well, that's good because we're going to need part of them to use. But what we're going to do here is kind of change things up just a wee bit. We need to create the walls that are just the second floor. Now, our lower floor is brick on 2x6 walls. So technically, the building code will allow you to go 2x4s on a second level floor. I like to stay with the 2x6s just for that insulation value. Insulation not only keeps the house warm, but also keeps the house cool. So it kind of works both ways. And I'd rather not have heat transfer through the upper level if I can keep that envelope, that surrounding to the house, the same. Now, on our second floor, it is not the full floor. It is the area over the stairs and out over this this little area here, and it comes up and goes across. So it does not include the library at all on that second floor. It comes up the back wall here, up, and then to the bearing wall. It comes over, and then it comes back portion of the way here in the living area, cuts across. It's done all the way across here, right at this point. And so that's kind of what we're going to work with. So let's go ahead and start laying that out. Now, you could still stay with brick or stone on this. I'm actually going to switch to a siding. In traditional classical architecture, we start with what is the heavier elements on the lower levels. And then as the building goes higher, the elements take on the aesthetic of being lighter. So if we started with, let's just take stone, for example. If I was doing a building in 13th century Italy, the lower level would be really bulky stone. It'd be not very well chiseled down. It'd be rough. It'll be coarse. The next level up would be a little more controlled, maybe shaped a little bit. Masons would go in and chisel out the shape to be more rectangular, so everything was more modular. The level above that would be smaller. Maybe instead of being chiseled stone would be handmade brick, so much more control to it. And the upper level would then be timber and cement plaster, so even more refined and lighter in the process. So as we kind of work through those things, it's kind of what we want to do. At least that's what I'm going to do with this one. Now, again, you can use whatever material you want. You can stay with the material used on the lower level, or you can change it. But to give the house a little bit more aesthetic, and then go ahead and change it up a little bit. All right, so we're on the upper low floor line. Then go kind of right back to the beginning. We're going to go to walls. I'm going to switch my walls to an exterior wall. And the exterior wall that I want to use is I'm going to use a 2x6. I could use stucco. That would be kind of an interesting look. Would be appropriate, but I think I'm going to go with the siding. So 2x6 exterior siding. And so that's what I'm going to select here. I'm going to trace that by the finished face interior just because I don't have, if I put on the brick, my walls aren't going to line up exactly. So it'll be finished face on the interior. And we're going to go ahead and start creating where this wall goes and how that's going to work out. So Here we go. And they come down. Ooh, it doesn't look like things are aligning perfectly there. And they don't have to. They can be a little bit of shift between that lower level and the upper level. Since it's not bearing, it's not a critical element. But this one is. So I'm going to start here, this corner. Flip that around so my siding's on the outside. And this is going to trace along to the back of the stair, which means I could put a window in this stairwell now because there's not going to be any, well, depending on how I do the roof. We'll have to see the roof next. So then do there, turn the corner. It's going to come up. And we got a little bit of a furnace room on that plan. If you're looking at your handout, there's a little bit of a furnace room there. Comes up to our bearing wall. So we'll put that back in play. Just go right at that corner. Comes across here to basically where this wall is located. And again, I'm eyeballing it because we could go in and we'll shift some sizes around once we get the general outline. But I'm going to bring it over to here. Just because well, maybe a little bit even further, maybe. Yeah, probably. Sometimes it's hard to get these to line up exactly where you want them to. It's okay if they do, if they don't. It's just kind of how life works out on there. But yes, this should come over. No, that's right. It should come over about here. Yep. And I got to flip that back around. And we're a little off on this wall. So I'm going to stop the wall. And I'm going to pick it up again. Because I kind of just got caught up in trying to figure out where everything's going to go. And that's the problem. I got off the interior. So I'm going to go up to this point. There we go. So come over to this point about here. That's going to go up the wall. Now, that bedroom 3 has a depth of 11 feet, which puts it right about here, lined up with the, which would be where the pantry is. So I'm just going to kind of follow that through a little bit. And I'll do a little bit of wall manipulating on this just a little bit here to get everything right. But we'll go up 11 feet. Coming across. And ideally, I probably will move that so it just aligns. The more support you can put underneath, it just kind of makes things work better, which is all good. Kind of like that. So coming across here, it is pretty much going to go to the corner, and I'm going to have to come back in and fix these walls because they are not lining up. I'm just kind of laying them out. And if that's what you need to do, then that's what you need to do. So come down to the bearing wall again, and I'll have to fix that with an interior. I'm not sure that's exactly what I want to do. Questioning my questions here. Let's go ahead and stop that for just a minute. Get myself oriented here correctly. All right, so we've got walls that were flowing around the world here. And we have this entryway that's open. We're not going to put anything there, and it's just be an open space. So we got to bring the wall around that. So that wall is going to come down, and that's going to cut across, and that's going to come back up. And again, I'm just throwing that in right now just to get walls in place because it's so easy to adjust them using the temporary dimensions. But that's kind of the plan. And then this is your bearing. So we just do modify here. And that's 11 feet to the inside. So I'm okay with that. All right, what we're going to do, or what I'm going to do, you can do kind of what you need to do. me throw this wall in there more. Then bring a wall across here. Let's then drop back down to the garage wall. And I think it goes all the way over, then goes up, comes out, and it's going to sit over the bay window. So I'm going to bring it out. I went 4.5 feet, but it's probably only 4 feet. But we'll work that out. So lots of things get worked out as we go. And this should go back to here and across. All right. So I think we've got enough there to kind of work with, at least for right now. And in order to do that, get the sizing all worked out right, I am going to hide my lower level. So I'm going down to, let's get out of the command so I can do that. So cancel out the command, go down to your underlay area, and we'll remove that range depth. If I can find where it went. We'll take that base level and we'll make it back to none. Now we're still seeing walls. Again, that's because they're extra tall right now. But it's going to let me take the minute here to make sure everything lines up. And that is kind of the goal here. So I'm going to use some align tools and work that little bit of magic there. So lining walls up to that point. This one looks like I got it backwards. Not surprising, but easy to fix. And a line and a corner to get that one in position. So this is where that furnace is. Now, in a home this size, it is very, very, very common to have a furnace for the main body of the house, so the basement, the main floor, and a second furnace for the bedrooms. Primarily because the only time you really want heat in the upper level of the house is at night. And so you're only going to run it for probably not even a full 8 hours. And it's just to keep the edge off the cold in those bedrooms. Since heat rises, the rest of the house is going to provide most of that heat. So you will often see custom homes have a second furnace on the second floor. And they're usually pretty inexpensive to run that way because, again, they don't run all day, especially since most people are gone the bulk of the day at work. And we're going to use, let's pull this up a little bit here and align my walls back up. So everything, maybe line them back up. I don't know. Wants to be happy. And I'm going to use this wall here for the pantry. And I might adjust that depending on what my depth of my wall is. So this room here, again, is supposed to be 11 feet. And we're slightly over that. So I'm just going to kind of call it good and let it be what it be. What it be is what it is. So the question then is, as I lay it out like this, getting these sizes all in there, since we don't really have a lot of information on them, we do have a little bit of leeway on this. Not much, but a little bit. In that getting everything lined up is a little sometimes trickier than it should be. But and that's partially because we don't have the actual sizes of the width of that hallway. And let me pull that up here real quick. So we kind of assume that this one was about 3 feet. It's probably closer to 4. But when we look at this area here, we know the stair. We know that very well. They've got a railing that's then going through here. This little furnace room. We have this room dimension. We have a little bit of an understanding on this, but it's only for this lower half. This is kind of a nice bedroom. This area right here with no opening and a circle, that is a flue. That comes up from the furnace room, which had we looked at, that's probably where the furnace room is on the basement, not over here. And it could go there very well because your kitchen is right below there. So like I said, you want your furnace room near the main water sources. So either a major bathroom or a kitchen. So I took a guess and looks like I might have guessed wrong, but that's easy to fix. This flue duct could easily be over here on the side. The issue is it'll be on the front of the house. So that's a pipe that you'll see from the road. And again, we try and hide the ugliness of the world. This little pop out here, I thought was going to be directly over where the bay window is. And I think it should be. We just got to get some things lined up here. So we just don't know this size here. We can kind of guesstimate at it, but that really determines where all this is. Okay, so we'll go back here. Kind of play around a minute here so we can work out with alignments. May just kind of come together on its own when we get everything sorted on there. And that's okay. It's kind of the process we go through to make sure it looks good. It is much easier when it's not someone else's published plan. And the reason for that is you can make it up and no one knows if you've changed it. You just do what you want to do, which is always kind of nice. Throw a little corner here in. This is not quite connected correctly. And this one we're going to align like so. So this becomes that area. So this will be that master bath, and it's going to connect in a strange sort of thing. So I need at least 5 feet. So it's going to work. It's basically the same layout. We have a tub and a toilet. So the tub takes 30 inches and then another 30. So we need at least 5 feet here for that to work. And especially we got 7, so we really are in pretty good shape as far as the way this is laying out. And this guy is 11, but that's aligned here up. And I'd really prefer to have this pop out over the bay. It's just going to make a little more sense to do it that way. So if it wasn't that way, it is going to be that way now. And just enjoy, you know. It's going to fight me a little bit on it. That's okay. Pull that in. And this bedroom here. Well, let's see what I can do here. Let's do a modify. If I take this wall and bring it all the way over. Interesting. Sometimes it's one of the things I like to do when I do a house is try to do everything so it's modular, so that when you build it, there's no waste. But that does take quite a bit more time. A lot of calculations. I'm going to break this wall a minute here. They're just not connecting right. And reinforce that connection here. That's better. It would be nice if that lined up. And it would see, we gave her some, give us plenty of room there. Okay, so let's start throwing in some of the other walls. These are walls that will be bearing partition walls, so 2x4s. They will be there to kind of just allocate space and use there. So we'll go architecture wall, switch down to the interior. Interior 2x4 partition, and this one's easy. Just flip it over if it's not going the right way and get everything kind of blocked out. We have a wall coming along here, like so. And we'll get these other walls corrected here in a moment. So this is that furnace area, stair, railing comes off the middle. This comes up, bedroom. So we have another wall coming off of here. And that's just in a swing all the way to the end of the line. And I'm really feeling, well, it's not quite the end of the line. It's going to go to about there. And we have another one coming off of this. Yeah, it's going all the way through. And the chimes are always wonderful to hear. Okay, so I'm going to modify this wall. Again, the Align tool is your best friend. It just makes things a little bit easier. Alrighty. Especially if I'm going to go through and change these lower level walls so that there's a gap. So you can see what's going on there. Alright, so we have our bath here. And we already put walls in there. So let's go that. Actually, I do want to get rid of that lower level completely. So let's take a look at what those walls are. So if I take this exterior wall, it is a main level floor line. Great. It goes up to the upper level floor line. Great. We're going to change that to top plate. And what I'm going to do is right click and create and select all instances in the view. So that's the perimeter. I'm going to change it so they go only up to the main level top plate. And now they did. So that's pleasant. Then the same with my interior ones. So I'm going to select all instances in the view and change their upper constraint, top constraint, up to main level top plate. And those will disappear. Okay, so now it's a little more open. We can kind of get a little more feel for what's going to happen in here as we work through it. I think I'm going to start and just leave the walls the way I have them here for a couple of reasons. There is a little pop out over somewhere in this area. I'll show that again. This guy right here. That's a dormer, and I'm not exactly sure what it is. That may be that this is a dormer as well. If that's the case, then I can worry about them after we put the roof in. But if they're not dormers, then it's a little different. But I think they're probably going to be dormers. A dormer is a window that extrudes out through the roof, but I have to have walls there. And those walls have a minimum height of 5 feet. So I think that's where we're going. We're going to start here with this area. Try and make that work out. Tubs are 5 feet. So I got 5 foot, and it says this is 10. So if I go from this wall over to this wall, I'm going to say that's to be 10 feet. So here we go. Let's start with a 2x4 partition wall. Since we've got it, we'll just go ahead and drop it in and get that taken care of. And this is another interior wall from down below. I'm not sure why it's showing, but let's fix it. Top constraint. Let's do all instances in this view. And the top constraint is going to be mid-level top plate. And I need to make sure you get the top plate. Oh, and there can be changed. All right, that's fine. We'll worry about that in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to take that 2x4 wall. I'm going to grab off here, right on that corner, flip that wall so it's all lined up, and that comes all the way across. Okay, so we have that. Okay, now I'm going to do a vertical wall, 2x4 partition, just going to grab and drag. Not gonna worry about size. I'm gonna do the size now. Okay, so in this first portion, we have a water closet and a toilet, and I need 5 feet for that. So that goes there. Okay, then we're gonna go. Next, to that is a sink, and we're gonna copy now. And if we just copy that over, 5 foot 4.5 inches. The 4.5 inches is the thickness of the wall. That puts us there. And I'm okay with that. I just dropped a wall. Dang it. Okay, so we have that. And that means there's a lot of space left on this side, which is a closet, and which means that this whole setup here is in the wrong spot. So I'm going to do a move. I'm going to take everything on this side, and I'm going to move it. And we're going to go from the back of this wall to the back of this wall. And doesn't quite work right. Let's go back out here a little bit. To do something like that. Okay, we're going to pause here for just a minute while I do some math real quick, and I'll explain when we get back.